Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel Tech Help Club. So today we will discuss about routing. So what is routing? Routing is the process of selecting a path for traffic in a network, typically between different devices or networks. So it is very essential for data to travel from source to destination, especially across complex networks like internet. And today we will focus on static route and default route. But before that, let me tell you routing is of two types, static routing and dynamic routing. So static routing is a type of network routing where routes are manually configured by the network administrator. So these routes do not change automatically if any link goes down. On the other hand side, dynamic routing is the method where routers automatically discover and maintain routes in a network using routing protocol. Unlike static routing, you don't need manually add routes. Routers communicate with each other to find the best path. And what is default route then? Default route is a special type of static route that tells a device where to send all traffic when it doesn't know a specific route for the destination. You can think it as the last resort path. So let's start our today's lab. So today I will use this topology and I am using three firewall 2, firewall 3 and firewall 1. Firewall 1 is connected to the internet and firewall 2 is connected with the LAN subnet 10.0.20.0/24 and firewall 3 is connected with the LAN subnet 10.0.3./24. So our main task is to set up a communication from PC1 or PC3 towards the internet. So for that, I will configure one default route here pointing towards this gateway and one default route from here pointing towards this gateway and another default route here pointing towards the internet provider gateway. So by doing so, if this user will initiate the traffic, it will hit this firewall and this firewall having this default route and letting him know you have to go to this gateway and traffic will redirect like this way. And again, if it receives on this firewall, we have one default route here and letting him to go to this gateway to the ISP router, and through ISP router it goes outside to the internet. But what if any traffic needs to return and want to go to the PC1? PC1 only can communicate with the internet if we have a two-way communication set up from PC1 to the internet. So for the reverse traffic, we have to configure two static route in firewall 1. Let's suppose this user initiated traffic, it goes like this way to the out, and if it come back, then firewall 1 does not know where the 10.0.2.0/24 subnet belongs to. So for that, I will configure 10.0.2.0/24 subnet static route pointing towards its next hop dot 2, that is 10.0.1.2. And in similar way, the traffic which belongs to 10.0.3.24 subnet, we have to configure another static route here in a similar way 10.0.3.0/24 and pointing towards 10.0.1.3 on this gateway. So by doing so, these both two users are able to access the internet. So that is our today's task. So let's start all the devices: firewall 1, firewall 2 and firewall 3. So before configuring, let me tell you the port 1 is by default in DSCP mode. So here in firewall 1, I don't need to do any configuration to take GUI access of this firewall. But on the other side, for firewall 2 and firewall 3, we have to do some little configuration to make this port dynamic port 3, which is connected to the management port, so that it can take IP automatically, so that I can take GUI access through that IP for these two firewall. So let me show you firewall 1 first. Admin, put password here and hit enter. Admin, it's a brand new firewall, so you have to configure password initially and apply command show system interface question mark, and you can see here port 1 is by default in DSCP mode and it already has taken IP. So let me copy this IP and open here, hit enter, admin and password, not now, later. So I will do it quickly because I have already explained all this stuff in my previous videos. If you want to see what I am doing, you can visit or watch that video thoroughly. You will get the idea what I am doing here. So change the name here to firewall 1 and increase the ideal timeout to 480 so that it will not goes log out again and again. Hit apply. That's it. Now go to firewall 2, hit enter, admin, hit enter, and it will ask the new password. Let me give the new password. Show system interface question mark, and here you can see port 3 is in static mode, so I have to change it to DSCP. So for that, do some basic configuration. Config system interface, hit enter, edit port 3, set mode to DSCP and set allow access to HTTP, and ping. Until the unless you will not hit button and command, it will not save the configuration. So hit end. That's it. Now show system interface. You will see it will take IP after some time. So here we go. You can see it has taken IP .146. So let me copy it and paste here. Admin and password. Not now, later. Do not show it. Okay. And go to system settings. Change the name to firewall 2 and increase the ideal timeout to 480, which is the maximum timeout minutes. And in a similar way, we have to do configuration on firewall 3. Admin, so show system interface question marks, and port 3 is static, so you have to configure it again. So config system interface, hit enter, edit port 3, hit enter, set mode to DSCP, hit enter, set allow access HTTP, ping HTTPS, hit enter and end. That's it. So system interface question mark, you will get the IP and here we go. The IP is 147. Open the firewall here, .147, login it, admin, hit your password, not now, later, do not show it. Okay, system settings, change the host name, firewall 3, and here increase the ideal timeout to 480. So that is it. So I have configured few basic things on these three firewalls to make it online or to make it available through GUI. And now we have to configure each and every firewall So let me do it one by one. Let's focus on firewall 2 first. So I will configure port 1 as a WAN port with the IP 10.01.2 and LAN port 10.02.254 and management is port 3. So let's go to firewall 2 and network interfaces. Port 1. Port 1 is our WAN port and define the role to WAN and configure IP manually 10.0.1.252/24 and allow ping at least and hit OK, and port 3 as a management port here MGMT, and increase the distance of management port because here in the lab management port here also provide you the internet, so you don't want to send your traffic through the management port. To avoid any kind of risk or any kind of confusion, just increase the distance of management interface. So I have increased the distance, so which is 10. Earlier it was by default 5. So hit the save button or OK. Now move to port number 2, which is our LAN port. So port 2, hit enter or double click here, LAN and role defined LAN. Configure the IP manually 10.0.2.254/24 and allow your ping and maybe HTTP as per your requirements. You can allow these administrative access to the interface and hit OK. That's it, and you have to do similar kind of configuration on port 3. So on firewall 3. So let's go to network interface and hit the port 1 here. Port 1 is 10.0.1.3. So this is WAN port. Define the role to WAN manual 10.0.1.3/24. Okay, so hit OK, and in a similar way port 3 is the management port and increase the distance of management port, hit OK, and port 2 is the LAN port. So give me the alias name LAN manual 10.0.3.254/24, okay, which is 3.0/24 subnet, and here we have 254. So hit OK. That's it. Now go to firewall 1, and here again on the firewall 1 I have to configure port 4 as a LAN port, port 2 as a WAN port. Firewall 1 network interface. Port 1 is the management port here, MGMT, and hit OK. And port 2, which is our WAN port, so make it DSCP. So it will take IP automatically through our router or ISP. So WAN ping HTTPS, OK. So this will get IP automatically after some time. So you can click here again, you will see it has initiated its DORA process, and here we go, we have IP now on this interface, and hit OK. Okay, and in a similar way here on port 4 we have to configure the LAN IP 10.0.1.254. Port 4 LAN IP, define the role LAN and manual 10.0.1.254. so which is this IP, and slash 24 ping. Okay, that's it. Now we have configured all the ports physically. Right now, our next step is to configure the DNS on firewall 2. So I will configure the Go global DNS and hit apply. And similar way, I will configure the DNS here in firewall 3, 8.8.8 and 1.1.1. Hit apply. And in firewall 1 also 8.8.8.8, 1.1.1.1. Hit OK. That's it. Now their DNS is configured in all the firewalls. Right now, what I have to configure the static. Let me configure the default route first. Here we need to configure default route in all three firewalls. So for firewall 2, our default route destination is this gateway. So the traffic hitting to this firewall will redirect the traffic to this gateway, and in similar way the traffic coming from this subnet will redirect the traffic to this gateway. So we have to configure one default route here in firewall 2, one in firewall 3 and one in firewall 1. So let's configure one by one. So in firewall 2, go to static route here, create. Here is the default route. So we configure default route in this way, 0.0.0.0/0.0.0. And what is our gateway? Our gateway is 10.0.1.254. So which is our port 1 here, which is our port 1, and IP is 10.0.1.254, which is the our gateway and configured on firewall 1. So here hit OK. That's it. Now configured. Also, you have to make sure to configure the default route in all three firewalls, right? So here static route in firewall 3. So what is our gateway for firewall 3? So firewall 3 is also having gateway 10.0.1.254. So 10.0.1.254 is our gateway, and which is WAN 1 or port 1 on firewall 3. Hit OK. And in similar way, we have to create a static route in firewall 1 having our gateway 192.168.1.254. So which is our port on our router, which is WAN 2 port, this one, the first one. Okay, and hit OK. Now you have configured all the routes or default routes on all three firewall. So this is our default route, which is our last resort. If any traffic doesn't match to the specific static route or specific dynamic route, then the firewall redirect the traffic towards the default route destination. Okay, so now this is created, and now the last task is we have to create two static route on firewall 1 to redirect the reverse traffic towards the firewall 2 and firewall 3, so that if this user wants to communicate to the internet can send the traffic in this way, but in the two-way communication it should has to receive the traffic from the outside. So for this we have to put two static route here pointing towards dot 2 this firewall gateway and dot 3 to this firewall gateway. So let's configure two more static route on firewall 1. So create static route and give the destination 10.0.2.0/24, and what is our gateway 10.0.1.2, which is our LAN 4 port 4, and hit OK, and create one more route in a similar way 10.0.3.0/24, and what is our gateway? 10.0.1.3, which is port 4. Hit OK. Now we have three routes here. Two are static route and the last route is the default route. So now we have to create a policy on firewall 2, firewall 3 and the firewall 4, firewall 1 saying or allowing the LAN traffic to WAN towards WAN. So let me configure the firewall policy on firewall 2. So for the policy, just go to policy and object, firewall policy, create policy and give the name to allow LAN to WAN. Okay, incoming interface is our LAN and outgoing interface is our WAN. Source, I am selecting all, but in real world you have to select a particular source or particular destination according to the requirement. Services all and accept, deny, and do not NAT here because this is not the end firewall. So our end firewall is firewall 1. So we will enable NAT. So for this network, this firewall will do the netting. So just hit OK. That's it. And now apply or create the same policy here. Go to policy and object, firewall policy, create, allow LAN to WAN and incoming is LAN port and outgoing WAN port, source all, destination all and services all of the NAT here and log all the session, hit OK. That's it. Now create one policy here on the firewall 1. Go to policy object, firewall policy, create, allow LAN to WAN access and again LAN is our port 4, outgoing interface would be WAN and source all, destination all, services all and we have to enable or NAT should be on here because this is the last router or the last firewall which is connected to our ISP which is doing netting for us. So log all sessions and hit OK. Now that's it for the firewall configuration side. Now let's open this PC1 and see the traffic or try to access the services. Go to terminal. Before terminal, let me check the IP if it has taken any IP. Go to property here and you have to configure IP manually. So what is our IP is 10.0.2.1 and net mask is 255.255.255.0 and gateway is 254 and put the DNS server 8.8.8.8 and 1.1.1.1, hit OK and connect and that's it. Now let's see if it has IP. Yeah, it has IP 10.0.2.1. Let me initiate the ping. Oh, I'm not able to access the internet. So let me ping its gateway 10.10.0.1.254. So I'm able to access the gateway, not the internet. Let me try it on PC3. Network manager, properties, use static IP 10.0.3.1 255.255.255.0 10.0.3.254 and DNS 8.8.8.8 1.1.1.1. Hit OK. Connect. That's it. Now open terminal. Here, see if it has IP. Okay, now ping to the internet. And here also I'm not able to access the internet. So let me check this firewall. Okay, so let me increase the management port IP. Here is 10. Here we go, you can see. So that is what I have told you initially. If you will not increase the management distance, it will send the traffic towards the management port. So anyways, I have increased it, and now you can see the traffic is going to the internet. And here on the PC1 you can see, and we can check all the logs here on the firewall 1. Go to logs and report and see the forward traffic. So it's a simulator, you can consider late response here. So let's go to dashboard, FortiView sources, and you can see here see 10.0.2.1 has initiated the traffic and it's hitting by this source. Okay, and for FortiView destinations, you can see I have pinged this 8.8.8 and I can see here the logs from the user 10.0.2.1. And let me check the logs and reports here in the forward traffic again. No. Okay, so let me do one thing. Let me open the web browser and initiate some more traffic. So might be that will help to log the traffic here. fp.com and google.com. Okay, so let me refresh it. Here we go, you can see. So source is 10.0.2.1 and it's sending the traffic towards face.com and google.com and 8.8.8. So by this way you can see all the traffic is going from this PC towards the internet. Okay, so if you want to see the routing table, you can also see the routing table of firewall 1. So let me show you the routing table. So get router info routing table all, hit enter. Here you can see the static route. Okay, this is our default route and this is our static route. This is our static route and this is the connected ports. Okay, so also you can see from here, go to dashboard, network, and expand this routing. You can see here we have static route, interface, gateway IP, interface IP, distance, and the type of the route: static route, connected route, static route, connected. or you can set the distance wherever you want to send the traffic. You can set your distance accordingly. Okay, so that is it for today. Hope you understand the static and default route concept. So if you have any doubt, you can write down me a comment. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye bye.